Oop.
Exciting. Hold on, it's coming. Don't worry. Hey, how's it going, universe? Welcome to another episode of Zoobox Goes to the Movies. A very special episode. We have Mr. Paul returning. Now, if you guys don't know, Paul was on an episode of the show that we did about Latin dance and music and how much we appreciated it. And I mean, people may have a problem with it. There's a bunch of white guys talking about it, but I think that's we're doing the good work. We're out there
Yeah,
proselytizing something. You know what I mean? How you doing, Paul?
100%. Not cultural appropriation at all. Cultural appreciation.
Oh,
And
see, that's
I
right.
think we should, toast to that. So,
I mean, it's not like you would see a Mexican down the street and slap a hot dog out of his hand and be like, "You can't eat that, buddy."
no, exactly. Yeah.
Does that have does that have beans, cheese, and tortilla? No, it does not.
No. Get your shit together.
And now we've just been canceled. Yeah. So today, I don't know why this came to mind. I asked Paul if he wanted to be on the show, and I was like trying to find a movie. I was like, what can we do? And I was like, all the new movies are out. And I was like, I don't want him to have to, I don't want to ask him to spend like $20 on a movie, like to rent a movie, because all the theatrical movies came out, but they're all like 20, $25. And I remembered, I was like, oh, the Greasy Strangler. And now Paul, he will probably not cop to this, but this guy he's an Adult Swim person. Now he falls asleep to Adult Swim. I'm not saying I look in his window at night, but it's a long drive. Um, but yeah, but you are kind of a fan of what this of like kind of the absurdist comedy stuff, right?
I'm a fan of weird. I like, getting weird. But it is a balancing act. There is an art to it, and it's not,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, I
So,
think a lot of those Adult Swim shows get away with it because of their 11 minutes.
right.
You know?
And getting into this one too, and I'll save it for when we get more into the film. But just so we know, so going into this review, I went to this movie completely cold, and
Well, I sent you the trailer.
well, you sent me the trailer. That was like a little gauge going into it, but that's all I was working off going to the trailer and trying to do my due diligence. I wanted to watch it a couple of days ahead, let the movie stew in for a little bit, maybe
Yeah.
conjure up some talking points, or maybe we talk about this with music all the time, where you listen to a song and it doesn't do anything for you, and then after some time goes past, and you're like, oh wait, well actually no, I do appreciate that. Actually, that happened to a movie we talked about a while ago. That one with Leo. It was a Tarantino one. Oh my god, why am I blanking?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
initially watched it, didn't like it, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought it was hilarious, and enjoyed it. So,
Yeah.
just weird stuff. So, long story short, I wanted to get into that. Just kind of watch it a couple days ahead. We said we're going to talk Saturday night. I'm like, okay, and then so I watched the film. Took some notes. All this stuff. Sent you some Snapchats, which apparently you got rid of it because whatever.
I did. I literally have not had it. You've probably been sending
me.
me You've probably been sending me Snapchats for years.
I
had
have.
it.
I
had
had
it.
Like, man, I thought that was a good one. No response. Wow.
I
Okay.
I had it, but I used like a drug dealer burner phones from Walmart, and they don't. It just works like such garbage. I can't even like get through the interface. I can't do anything. It just freezes up, fucking shuts down. Like, so I was just like, well, I guess I'm not a Snapchat person. I became an Instagram person after that.
Okay. Well, that's the
Yeah.
trade-off, right? Because I'm not on the IG. I'm not on the
Shit.
gram.
Oh shit.
But so I watch this. I watch this flick Thursday night, and then Friday I get a message from you. If you haven't watched The Greasy Strangler yet and want to do a hard pivot with Mad Max Fury Road, I'd be down. I watched Greasy Strangler last night, and I think you might hate me for making you watch it. LOL.
I did. I had it like I was watching it, and I decided I was having like a nightcap, and I got very self-conscious. I was like, because I saw it when it first came out, so I saw it in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
I just forgot about all the particulars.
Mm-hmm.
I just forgot about it. I just remembered like bullshit artists. Like that's what I remembered. and and I knew it was weird and gross. I mean, I remember that, but I just didn't remember like the like the it's like it is a perverse movie. It's perverted. It's not just like gross out humor. I mean, granted, I'll say this. I fucking was laughing quite a bit. Like I couldn't help myself. Part of it's like the audacity of what you're watching. Part of it is the dad, Michael St. Michael, like his performance fucking cracks me up.
Now, he actually, uh, he actually got like some type of award for that performance. Did you know
Okay,
that?
sure. No, I didn't
Did you
know
know
that.
that?
No.
So, okay, and so for anyone who hasn't, watched this movie, it's essentially like a 93-minute journey of a father and son coping with anxiety and loneliness, and then not to give away too many spoilers, but at the end, they come to bonding over a taboo method that involves copious amounts of grease and legal and ethical dilemmas
Yeah, yeah,
to get to it. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's a movie about father and son bonding.
yeah.
So
It's
which
very,
which is a beautiful thing, though. It's
it's
it's a
very,
beautiful message.
yeah.
At the end of it, they did go through a journey, You see, and that's why I wanted to wait a couple of days before we talked about it. It's like thinking,
Get those. Yeah, I got you, man. You got to get those wheels turning.
yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Ugh,
It
but
is, but I mean, like you're joking, but you're also being honest. Like that is really what it is about.
yeah.
But there, oh my god, and just like about about paternal expectation and and how sons feel about their fathers. There's actually a lot of stuff in there if you're willing to see it. If you're not distracted by their fucking heinous looking dongs. Now listen, cocks, dicks, they're dicks. I don't, nobody likes looking at a dick. Not really.
Even the nicest looking dick
Yeah,
is
you're
still
like,
not
yeah.
nothing like it's still gross.
But
So
these were the grossest dicks.
they really were. They really were.
Gnarled yams.
So
Um, well, before we're getting started, it's direct. This is the directorial debut of Jim Hosking. He's a British film director. A little bit of a weirdo, it seems like. And most of the cast is just random people. Like the guy that's the son, Braden, Big Braden. He is like a stunt man, and he's just done odd jobs around sets. I think he might be he's probably like, one of these underground comics. You know what
yeah.
I mean? The kind of guy that you go see in like a warehouse with a bunch of crust punks.
Who's that awesome older actor that was like in Muppets from Space? Stop laughing at me. He's been a gazillion things, but
Oh, fucking Jeffrey Tambor?
is that who it is? He did he played the transgender person in the Amazon series.
Yeah, Jeffrey Tambor, Arrested Development.
Yeah, that guy looks like a younger version of him.
A little. Oh, come on, now that's pretty harsh to Jeffrey.
A younger version of him
If he
playing
had been,
a gender role.
if he had been hit by a truck. Michael St. Michael, I don't even think he's an actor. I was looking at the trivia, and it says that he was John Travolta's hairdresser.
Michael St. Michael, yeah. So he apparently was according to his IMDb and cross-reference with Wikipedia. Yeah, jetliner hairstylist who went to all the hot spots in Europe.
Oh.
Yeah, you get in there.
He seems like it. It's honestly, it made sense when I read that. I was like, that makes sense. I buy that. So okay.
Nobody in there is really. I think the most seasoned actor on that was the one who played Janet, because I remember her from the Eastbound and Down.
Eastbound and Down. That's right. Yeah. She was. I mean, whenever I watch that movie, it's Elizabeth Durazo.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I watching it, I was like, I wonder what it felt like to film some of these scenes. Like, I wonder what that felt like.
Rudy Tooty Disco Cute.
Well, that's the weird thing. It's got this kind of like idiosyncratic, in the same way that like Napoleon Dynamite or Nacho Libre, Jared Hess movies, that it's just a very specific tone, and it's a very specific like version of the world, and people do not operate in a rational way like we would in the real world. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny that you said like version of the world, because that was one thing that was pickling me the last couple of days. I'm like, because it was like a post-apocalyptic. Like, what kind of universe were they in? You know, everything for like the all the little minute details, like the handwritten currency that they use everywhere, from like the
Mhm.
hot dog vendor to the car wash. You know, it just how they greeted everybody was weird. You know, Big Paul, Big Ronnie, big. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
like yeah, everything was just weird, and everything just looked like closed down and rugged, you know. So it was definitely good. It like everything about this film, I feel like was designed to just piss you off or make you from the way they talk
Yes.
to the that it starts off like jovial, but then it becomes very monotonous, and like by the end of it, you want to like becomes like scratching on the chalkboard type, that little techno music, bing, 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 and like all throughout that, like what the hell, like uh,
Yeah.
the way they talk, the awkward pauses, and a lot of the dialogue. I it just I it was just it felt like everything they did, and even the lighting in some cases, it just pissed you off. Like everything was designed to make you uncomfortable and piss you off. That's like how I felt. Like the initial reaction of watching it was just making
Maybe
me.
it's a masterpiece. Maybe it's a fucking masterpiece.
It just might. It just might be the perfect movie.
I mean, like if you judge a movie by like discerning its goals and does it execute on those goals, well, there you go. It seems like it does. Seems like it gets across what it wants to get across.
You know, that's an interesting point, because a big thing what I do for a living is finding out what a requirement is and meeting that requirement,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing what that objective was. Was that the intent? If so, it worked.
That's Paul's official endorsement. Five
I,
stars. The Greasy
I would
Strangler.
say. Well, actually, I would say endorsement, because so I legitimately laughed out loud like two. Well, there's a few parts.
Oh, come on.
No. There was two.
Bullshit artist. Bullshit artist.
No, horse shit, bullshit, cock shit. No, well, one was the very beginning, like check my cheeks. I'm like, that was I've never heard it said that way before. Eat my ass, bite my ass, blah, blah. I'm like that. Okay, just like when you think you hear them all, 35 years on this world, and you think you heard it all, but no, I'm like, all right, that's a different way of saying it. And then the one when when he takes Big Paul over for dinner and they're going out for disco. He's like, "Do you mind if my son joins us?" He's like, "Not no way, no, not no how." Just paused, and then they just start laughing, and you're thinking like, "Oh, okay." They're going like, "Oh yeah, sure you can come," but then they're like, "No."
Dude, like when he takes Janet and he takes her out to the disco and they're like hanging out after the disco and he's telling her this ridiculous story about him and Michael Jackson, and it's his delivery. There's like a sense of like confidence and like I'm telling you the coolest fucking thing ever. But I'm being very casual about it. And he's like, yeah, and then we just took our hot frothy cum and just sprayed everybody at the club. It's fucking awesome. And you're like, holy shit. I don't know, like it strikes such a weird tone, and like you don't know how to feel about it. But I don't know. At some point, I just went with it. I was just let it kind of just. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm watching it. I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna try to vibe with it as much as possible, even if it does make me feel mildly skeezy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I look like at these people, and I'm like, all these people look like child molesters.
Yeah.
You
Everyone's
know?
like his best friend, like the hog or whatever, the a guy
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
cross dresses and then wears a nose. We don't find out till later in the film he's wearing that like a hog nose to cover that his nose has been cut, and apparently his gate. It was weird, but like just like everything about it, like even the friends, the whole universe, that whole world, everything was weird and like put in place to make you feel uncomfortable and piss you off.
Yeah. It's like it's gross.
Yeah.
Everything is gross. And it does make you, like you said, it makes you feel uncomfortable. It makes you feel awkward when you're watching it.
Mhm.
Did you watch it with anybody?
No, so well, I say it like that because I put it on the big TV. Like I said, man, I wanted to do my due diligence for your show.
I appreciate it.
Put it on the big screen a couple days prior to the taping. And I'm watching it, and then my wife comes at the party. She's like, uh, when Janet's spreading her cheeks.
Yeah, oh my god, not your asshole, Janet. no.
And she just comes in and she says, she's like, pause it. Kids are awake, coming out for water. I'm like, oh, we're gonna put well, the kids get water, and then they kept going. Like, I was like, okay, you're clear. You can start watching that fat woman's ass spread her ass again. I'm like, thank you. As I have my like notepad, I'm like, thank you.
Thank you.
Please continue my research.
Actually, I made Sarah watch it years ago, and it made her physically ill. Like she got nauseous watching it.
Yeah, I could see there's just like the great. I don't do well. Like here's what's crazy. I can do blood, but like anything that deals with like puke, that's why I lose it. If someone pukes from, I lose it. If it's something that looks like puke, it's like every scene where like he's getting in there with the grease and like all that.
Because it's a sense memory thing. Like we all know what great grease feels and tastes like.
Yeah.
So and then you watch him eat copious amounts of it or whatever with the grease, like you can feel it, and you can feel how gross that would be. Like when he's eating this hot dog, and he's got a bowl of grease, and he's just dipping it in the grease.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I need more grease. I say that to Sarah, and she still gets like to this day.
Yeah. But you brought up an interesting point earlier, like with the Adult Swim, that format, like 11-minute show, 11-minute segments and stuff like that. And this probably could have worked. I feel like like in 30 minutes, but then again, I don't know if the intent was to put you through a very awkward, painful journey to realize,
Well, I think you could break this this whole show or this whole movie rather into 10-minute episodes, and you could have released it. It is kind of episodic. Like the way things actually unfold, like the scenarios are all like these little episodes that happen, and they all kind of just build off of each other. And I mean, that's what it reminds me the most. It reminds me, I guess the obvious comparison is like something Tim and Eric would do. Have you ever seen their movie? Actually, have you ever seen Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie?
Dude, I watched that. I was wasted and
a long time ago.
But that's essentially my like relationship with Adult Swim, right? Like I'm usually like tired as fuck.
Yeah.
Go to bed, or like wasted. And I'm like, all right, let's pop in something here, So, yeah, like one of those others. But Tim and Eric though, like or you say like with these movies, there's a balance for it. Like they don't carry something on for like. They change it up, right?
Sure.
And granted, now this is not apples to apples here with like the Tim and Eric show, like in this, but like God, if I knew I was going to talk, I should have revisited some Tim and Eric. But
I think the more. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
No, I would say like the Tim and Eric show comparison isn't fair because it is what it is. It's like short little sketches. There's 50 sketches in 11 minutes, But if you were to watch Tim and Eric the movie, Tim and Eric $1 billion movie, it is actually a much more akin to this because they have to sustain the joke for 90 minutes.
Right.
And and that movie is another one where it's kind of like when it hits, and when it doesn't, it doesn't. And sometimes there's long stretches where it doesn't hit, and it's just kind of tedious because of that. And I would say Greasy Strangler has the same problem. The first half hour, it's pretty funny. It's pretty intriguing. And then it just kind of keeps going. And it just does the same thing over and over again. I would say like the middle 30 minutes of the movie are kind of boring. Like it just doesn't feel, because you're not really invested in these characters. You don't really give a shit. Other than for comedic value that that the father is like swooping in because he's such a smoothie, smoothie with the ladies.
Big smoothie.
So I would, it's just hard to do this stuff. I think in long form, it's this kind of absurdist comedy because you want to get in and get out. Now, listen, I don't want to brag or anything, but I made a movie called Sad Guy 86 Eats a Hot Dog. Now that's perfect. That's 2 minutes. That's 2 minutes, Jim Hosking. I'm talking to you right now. That's 2 minutes. It has a clear and defined purpose. And I fucking nailed it. Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody.
No, no, I loved Posco's, so it really hit home with Jim Hoskins. But yeah, he had the objective and it ended. But can you imagine doing Sad Guy 86 with a hot dog for 90 minutes? And then
No.
and then you just threw some prop characters that interact just to try to kill some time. Actually, you know what? Why the first 30 minutes of that film were so great is because it wasn't just the father and son on there. You had like the 3 different tourists. You had all that the interaction, and I'm not gonna lie, that whole when they had the 3 tourists there at the vending machine go arguing about like the freaking chips. That was hilarious. Like
it was.
Porto. What? No. So,
yeah, but what's it made of?
Like a gentleman from India, a gentleman from somewhere like Northwest Africa, and then some guy I don't know somewhere in Europe. So they all had, and the point of bringing out those is because they all had like different weird accents, and so I was saying Porto, and then the guy from Africa. This is so embarrassing. What are you saying? What are you saying? And then finally, we'll just call him Welsh. And the Welsh guy is like, I think he's trying to say potato.
See, I think
potato.
See, I think it's happening, dude. See, now we are like literally like reflecting in hindsight and be like, this is a great movie. Everybody should see this movie.
That was a great scene. That was Sad Guy 86 2-minute hot dog right there, like in the first third of a 90-minute journey. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't stretch that out. So I don't know. I think like more interactions, like random characters. So like that with the hot dog vendor. I mean, that wasn't as good as like the first interaction that they had, but like it was better than the normal father son. So I think a lot of the just relied on like those 2 people. Being the father and the son. So
I would say, do you think it would be worth watching? I mean, what did you think of Michael St. Michael? Did you enjoy that performance? Did you think it was funny?
No.
Really?
No.
Fuck.
So the guy, like he had moments. I think like his biggest moment was like in the very beginning when he wakes him up with the coffee and something. He's like, yeah. And he goes into like it was almost like the Grinch face. Remember the classic Grinch?
Yeah.
Just like, he's like, I am the Greasy Strangler. Like that was great. That was a great piece. And I was just like, oh man, we're going right on. But it just like that, it
really got you. It really got you there. And then they're just like, sorry, buddy.
It did, and that was before I saw the freaking giant disformed, dong. You know what I mean? So like you had me at that, and then he just. Nothing, man. Nothing.
See, what I loved about the performance is like there is like this weird confidence, arrogance about, and he's obviously like a fucking moron. Like, and that's, to me, for whatever reason, I tend to find characters like that funny, and I thought his delivery on some of that stuff was, whether intentional or not, I don't know, just really, really, really had me rolling.
So did you ever watch that series? It was an HBO series called like Silicon Valley.
Oh yeah. For sure.
So remember Russ Tannehill?
Yeah.
That guy fucks, right?
Yeah.
That guy, every time he was in there, was pretty much hilarious.
Yeah.
But if you made him carry it like a whole episode, it would probably suck.
Yeah, because then you're you're Ari from fucking Entourage.
Yeah. Well, hey.
That's who you are.
Shout out to Barstool Sports for trying to get a petition or gen up some interest in making an Ari Gold spinoff.
Oh, fuck no.
That's
cancel Barstool Sports. Cancel right now. Listen, Entourage was what it was for when it was made. Let's all move on, please.
Yeah, I'd say move on.
I think I've seen the whole show. I never watched the movie because I just
you watched the whole show?
Yeah, I think I did.
Well, fuck you then.
I kept watching it after. I remember one time we had a friend in Alaska. Nick.
Huh.
He really liked the Entourage, and I felt like I kind of offended him one time. I'm like, yeah, our Entourage is fun to watch, but it's a shitty show. It's a trash show, and he just like looked at me, gave me these death eyes.
That's what he did. I
was like, you're gonna go to that for Entourage?
That was a guy that was so serious in all of his hobbies and everything they did for fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he couldn't admit when he had a guilty pleasure. He just couldn't admit it. He would try to rationalize or justify that what he's watching is, good.
It's good, yeah.
There's a band that he would listen to that was terrible, but it did. Goddamn.
They were called the Frenia.
No, that band was fucking awesome. No, no. No, it was Kings of Leon, the newer shit though.
Oh, the newer shit. See, if you're not listening to it, I think the album's what, Because of the Times?
Yeah.
It's the one that has On Call, Charmer. That's the only good album.
It's the song.
The only good album. I remember.
So here's the thing, Charmer, man. That went over 2.5 minutes. It would probably lose an edge on it. It would probably lose an edge. Just like this whole freaking Greasy Strangler. Just went on way too long. This was not a feature-length film. Black Betty, Bama Lamb. 2 minutes. Awesome. Bass line, drum line, quick solos in there, not too flashy. Doesn't make any sense. Girl with a big ass in Alabama. Like, boom, point taken. Boom, 2 minutes, done. Just like Sad Guy 86. I thought,
it's
done.
True.
It knew its objective. It had a time requirement, and it fit. It didn't try to prolong it. It's
Well, that's the thing with these characters. They're just affect. They're just quirkiness. So there's not anything to invest in. I will say, it's a movie which I brought up earlier to compare it to that actually succeeds in not a similar way, but like Napoleon Dynamite. Napoleon Dynamite is just a very eccentric movie full of eccentric characters that kind of have like specific ways of speaking, odd dialogue. But they're endearing. Like you like the characters while you're watching it. So it pulls you along through the story. Greasy Strangler doesn't have that. It's just it's just assholes that just feel like two-dimensional cartoons. And then at the end I feel like they're trying to like suggest that I should care. I think this Jim Hoskin guy, I think he's a terrorist. I think he's an emotional terrorist. He's probably has some daddy issues.
There was no development.
That's right. Yeah.
With that, right? So yeah. So that's here. For the record, I did all my due diligence and prep to try to do this, and then I fucked up by drinking a lot of larceny, prior to this and as we're doing this. So
here we go.
It's like all that work going for nothing. But your point was with like Napoleon Dynamite. Kind of similar set, like, a lot of awkwardness, a lot of pauses that we're talking about, like with Greasy Strangler. But there was a sense that you do invest in them. You do invest in Napoleon and Pedro and stuff like that. And everyone seems kind of like real, right? But you think about that, like, why? They didn't make every aspect of Napoleon Dynamite to piss you off like they did with Greasy Strangler.
Fair enough.
They did not. There was a relatable world. They could see there wasn't any like weird dialogue with everyone where everyone called everybody their first name plus with big in front of it, like
sure,
there's a lot of things that you can relate to.
Yeah, it doesn't learn. I mean, Napoleon Dynamite is not leaning hardly into like its absurdness of some of it. It's not. It's there, but it doesn't focus on it. The Greasy Strangler just focuses on that stuff. I mean, Napoleon Dynamite. I mean, they have weird nicknames for people, and it's fine. It's been a long time since Napoleon Dynamite. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, no, if you think about it, though, I mean, that wasn't really a great movie. It was like one of those things where now, after the fact, it's like highly quotable. You like to quote, everyone quotes it. Oh my god! Afterwards, like, oh, Gina, idiot. Oh
yeah, there was a period where that was
everybody like quote it, right? But it's like everyone, and there. Oh god, what was the uncle's name? The old QB. Was it Uncle Rick? Uncle Rico, right? Like everybody has some version of an Uncle Rico or somebody close to it, right? Yeah. There was like it was in a relatable universe.
Yeah, we
like relatable people, and it was focused on characters that had their like unique idiosyncrasies and like blah blah, social challenge.
Let me tell you something, buddy. Okay, listen. If you don't know people like the Greasy Strangler people in your life, then you need to get out more. Okay? No, I'm just joking. No, I know what you mean.
That's the whole point, right? Because they don't get out. So how would I know? unless I paid for like one of their tours. And like, I'm just thinking about this. Like, someone who's never watched this fucking film, like, like was watching this, like, what the hell are they talking about?
I would love to show this to like my mom and just like watch her face. If I could get my mom to just sit there.
uh,
That's the kind of thing. I think I'm glad I have Greasy Strangler so I can spring it on people when they're not expecting it. Kind of just like the man himself.
After I got that trailer, like, the first thing I did after I watched it is I have like two good buddies in the area that I live in, and I immediately sent it to them. Like, hey,
You ever see the
you
Greasy
guys see
Strangler
this?
boys?
I've never seen this. And they're like, no, get on it, blah 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 blah. So we'll see. We'll see.
Oh, dude, we're gonna infect the whole country. This movie's gonna be huge.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the reach of Zoobox, but there are tens of people that listen to this. Yeah. The pressure's on, buddy.
I'm one of them.
No, but if you watch that trailer, that trailer is intriguing. You're like, oh, I'll watch that, sure. It looks weird and dark and fucked up, but it got my interest.
You got the interest, and unfortunately, the trailer is the best part.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's to give some of the filmmaking side of it credit. Like, it's shot pretty well. I like the color, like the I guess set design, the cinematography, the way they lit things. It's actually shot pretty well. Like even the stuff in the Greasy Stranglers, like skulking around in the shadows and whatnot. It looks pretty good. It's not like it is more cinematic than I would have thought it would have than you would think it would be.
Yeah. Well, I'm not well versed to critique on that. But I definitely didn't see anything like that. Just as with my layman eyes looking at this, wanting to be entertained. I want to be entertained.
Sure.
And that's always been like the biggest difference between me and you, right? Is like I can turn my brain off and like enjoy something or not enjoy something, and then this is your thing, right? Critiquing film and like watch this, right? So I don't pick up and like looking like, oh, what's that shadow? And like most of the times I'm like, man, that is totally a jumpsuit. Like they are not covered in grease.
Totally breaks it for you.
They are not committed.
If these people were, if they were committed to their craft, they would have greased up. They would have got out there.
They absolutely would have greased up and got out there. But no, I don't know. What do we do? You want to talk about like the movie how it ends, or what aspects do you want to like dive into here? Because
let's talk about
that pisses me off.
What part? You go for it.
But, just everything. Well, like the main thing too is like like the development, right? They're getting into this, right? And I wasn't joking at the beginning when I was saying like it's about people coping with anxiety and security and like moving on, right? So essentially, his father and son run this whole like fake like disco tour, or maybe it's real in that universe. I don't know, but it's real shy.
I think it's meant to be real. It's just. It's just like it's another quirky thing because every aspect of the movie. I mean, there's a blind guy that is in a 24-hour fucking car wash.
Have you ever been to a car? Actually, I don't think there are any. So down the road from me, there's a car wash, and I'm pretty sure that dude, he could be blind. White dub.
He says everything looks great.
Yeah. No, I go in there and I'm like, doesn't matter if I pay like 12 for like the exterior, interior like wash or $8 for the it's the same damn thing. And I think it's because he's blind. So yeah, so it's not weird. I've seen that in the real life.
I've seen that out there in the streets.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, this dude never asked me to go disco, so
c'est la vie. I mean, what a piece of shit, huh?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, so this father and son, guy in his like probably like rough late mid to late 40s. Father's like probably 60s 70s type. Mm-hmm. Going through this, they run this whole disco, and then through one of these tours, they encounter like one of these females comes by, and for whatever reason is just attracted to the younger son, which we kind of did a good job describing what he looked like at the beginning of this whole segment, right? It's just just involved in this, and then it just quickly escalates into the son and his new girlfriend Janet. It's this very weird and immediately physical like relationship.
Yeah.
And then the father immediately, his insecurity goes ramps right the fuck up, and he's like, "No, no, their very first date. Like, what am I going to do? Who's going to cook for me? Well, you got to go to the vendor, Dad. And he can't handle that. So immediately he decides to come conjure up this whole big plan. But I know woman better than you, and I need to go. I need to go see her. I need to go one on one with her and do this. And then this is one of the quotable part. You're just a smoother. You're just a smoothie, Dad.
Yeah.
You're trying to smooth her, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to do this, and he takes her out.
Yeah, I guess I kind of am.
It's like the worst recap ever, but it's essentially within like 10, 15 minutes of the film, you have this like weird love triangle between this demented father, son, and this really twisted like woman that came into this whole mix, right? Uh,
Yeah, we can't let her off. We can't. She had definitely had a role to play in the debauchery, the perversion.
she definitely did, but what little she admitted about like her backstory is that she came out of like a really rough relationship, right? Like all fairies.
And exactly, and this is what happens when that happens. That's why you got to wait for the rebound. Don't go right away because you might end up in a love triangle with a father and son.
Yeah, yeah. Just well, I guess the big man is don't do like disco tours because disco is dead for a reason. It's dead for a reason, and any incarnation of trying to bring it back fails, whether it's fashion.
And this is what happens. This is what happens.
Ugh, God, right? And then they go off in the bond, and the dad wins the heart, and then he tries to get her heart back, and then essentially the son gets the last stand with over his old man. He's like, I'm going to get this. I got her. And she says, I'm going to go, and we're going to move to my house. We're out of your place, and blah, blah, blah. And so his father, being the Greasy Strangler, goes ahead, whacks his son, falls out, takes her out, and then his son wakes up and decides, I'm going to be the Greasy Strangler. I'm going to get this. And then they end up killing this woman together.
Yeah.
And then just going balls to the wall, just embracing this Greasy Strangler-ness. And it just came out of nowhere. Like, yeah, I'm not doing a great job recapping it, but that's really how the movie went. He's just like, oh, I love you. And all of a sudden, oh, no, I'm going to cover myself in grease. Because I've been suspecting my dad to be the Greasy Strangler this whole time, which to highlight the dad's insecurity, like throughout the whole movie, constantly was telling people, from whether it was Big Paul, his son, whoever, or the hot dog vendor, like, I bet you think I'm the Greasy Strangler. Like nobody's asking you that. And so his son's been
because he's a serial killers want notoriety.
Huh?
He craves the notoriety.
That's
because
true.
He's a narcissist and a sociopath. And I think, the thing with his son doing that, I think is that like his son just like giving into what his father wants so he can have his father's love. Is that the thing? Because for a while when I was watching it the first time, I remember thinking like, oh, is the son just the father? Like, is he the Greasy Strangler? Like I was like, maybe they do like a Fight Club twist or something. No, that's not what happens, but it kind of feels like that's what happens, though, even though it doesn't happen. There's like this self-actualization, this like kind of like come to Jesus moment where they just kind of become peers, and the father respects the son respects the father, and then they become just like feral beasts.
Well, that's the thing, right? So like the big bonding moment is when they, was it Pickle Rick? not Pickle. What the fuck was it?
It is something like Pickle Rick. It's not Pickle Rick, but it is something similar.
Pickle Rick.
Pickle Rick. Jeez, you think he'd be?
I know.
Oh, Ricky Pickles. I don't know. Ricky Prickles.
Ricky Prickles. There we go. Or they just said, let's go kill Ricky Prickles.
Well, and then they start like eating the people. They're eating his ears and eating the eyeballs, which is not something that had been at all discussed before. I'm sure this is some sort of pretentious tip of the hat to some sort of like Greek mythology,
right? So, but there was a Greasy Strangler progression, right? So, yeah, smashed one guy's head through like vending machine, strangled a couple people, and then started getting into eating eyeballs, and then digging into people's like nose or where their nose would be. Like it just progressed. Yeah. No, ter- the highly quotable. They're like bullshit artists. Like that. That will always be like a great inside joke. Whoever spent the freaking
Yeah.
90 minutes to watch this piece of shit can go there and be like bullshit artist, and it'll be hilarious. Like
Or
that's
smooth, or you're a smoothie.
or you're a smoothie, right? Or check my cheeks, right? Like those are the best. Like those are the best like quotable parts, right?
Yeah, I mean that's been an inside joke between Sarah and I, my wife, for years. Is I need more grease.
Preach.
This is not nearly greasy enough, Braden. I like okay, so like after watching it, so you watched it. Like, are you depressed that you watched it? Are you like, I wish I hadn't seen that? Or are you like, that's okay. It's okay that it's in there. It's in your brain. Now it's part of the catalog of things you've seen. Now you have this reference point for it.
No, I got a reference point of it, and now I'm talking to my good buddy, my good childhood friend,
That's
drinking
true.
whiskey and talking about it. So I mean, like those were all good things. I mean, the whole process, like yeah, I'm going to watch this and like so go share it with somebody. I mean, that's what all like
Of
entertainment media is
course.
for, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, it was good, and it's like I wouldn't tell anybody like don't watch it, but I would tell them, watch it with a purpose, or watch it with somebody else, right?
Strap in, buddy, because if you don't watch it with somebody else, you're gonna feel like a pervert. Like you said, you watched it on the big screen. I started on the big screen, and then I ended up there. Because my wife was like, "You cannot watch this around Foster." Like it was before I put it on, and I knew that I'm not gonna watch it around Foster. Actually, the moment that I realized I had to stop watching anything around him was it was another very gross, weird movie. Ichi the Killer. Do you remember Ichi the
So
Killer?
I'm so glad you brought that up, right? Because one thing that's only Koreans can make off the wall, bizarre, insanely gross films, and and this guy, what's his name, Ross,
Jim Hosking.
Jim Hoskins, yeah, Ross. That was close enough, right? Obviously not Korean, because then it could have worked. Then it could have
Well,
worked.
neither is Takashi Miike. So Takashi Miike is Japanese. That's a Japanese movie. And that is actually a Japanese movie. This is not like the Sun Tzu situation.
Fuck you by that, by the way.
I know. Dude, I was so confident too. I was like, Sun
You
Tzu's
were.
fucking Chinese.
You
This
were.
fucking racist piece of shit. He's Japanese. Hold on. Let me put my anime on, you bitch.
The second reference to Latin music on another podcast that we referenced earlier today. So
Yeah, if you want to look
you
at
want to be in on the know, if you want to get the broader context,
you got to check out Zubox Special Booga and Alooing Edition. All about Boogaloo, which, if you don't know, is a form of Latin dance that was popularized in Brooklyn in the 1960s.
Was it the 60s or was it the 50s?
Pretty sure
the 50s.
I don't want to be racist, so I'll say between the 50s.
Doesn't feel too good, does it?
Make you question yourself.
Question everything.
Oh my god. You know what I wish you had done? I wish that you had been rewatching Battlestar Galactica while I had, because that would be a great conversation. Because I have some thoughts. Now I'm probably gonna have to do it by myself. I'm just gonna talk at the camera. It's probably gonna be about 4 hours.
Did you just finish it?
I am in the we have like 7 episodes left. I mean, I love that show. I've been meaning to rewatch it for years. Yeah, I've been meaning to rewatch it for years, and my wife has never seen it. I'm always trying to make Sarah watch science fiction stuff, and I was like, this is a good one. This is not like a good with a caveat. I don't need to like make excuses for it. This is actually just a good drama.
The only excuse you need to make is get through the pilot.
Yeah, the pilot, there's those rough parts of the pilot, but overall it's fine though. It's good. Like overall it's good. But yeah. It's still good, guys. It's still a good show.
Yeah, no, I'd hop on that one. That saved my marriage. Battlestar Galactica saved my marriage.
I buy it. I buy. I click buy. I remember those days. So yeah. You know what saved my marriage? The Greasy Strangler.
Because you married a Rudy Tooty Disco Cutie.
Yeah. Kind of. What
Which
a hoe.
that actress that played
She's
Jerry,
funny. She is funny.
that like just like that is one thing, like, the biggest takeaway from that is just like really fearless and bold, and
Yeah.
just took that character. Like, if you want to talk about like performances or anything like that, just relative like to this film, uh she was the best one.
Mm.
Just by far the best performer.
I think she's the best actual actor. I think the I think Michael St. Michael's for me, it was just the attitude. And that I just responded to that for some reason. I don't know why. His line readings, because they're not good. Like they're bad. They're mediocre. He's not an actor. And it's clear that he's not an actor. But there was just something just that I don't know what it was. I don't know. Just the way he would just say the most ridiculous shit with like just like this devil may care confidence. He's the coolest motherfucker on the planet. He's like, you're not just a hot piece of pussy. I think you could be my forever love.
The guy sucked so bad.
Oh my god, we're like back in the mid 2000s, like Hannity and Combs. Fuck.
Sucks so bad. Oh man.
I can't really. You did not find him funny at all.
No, like I rattled off earlier the parts that I enjoyed.
That's like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Well, no, 4. Check my cheeks is 2, and then I am the Greasy Strangler right at the beginning. So yeah, all right, fuck it. Yeah.
And that's the trailer shot. That's the trailer shot. That's what sells you on the movie is actually that little clip.
Yeah.
So,
But the other thing that pissed me off too, and like here's something maybe what's your thoughts on this, right? So like when they decide to go like just balls deep, fully committed. Okay, we're both gonna be greasy. We're just gonna go out in the wilderness and just be fucking savage from now on. And then they see themselves or doppelgangers of themselves like get shot up by like 3 random people in that. Was that supposed to like symbolize that like okay, yeah, nope, we are never going back to that pathetic state again, and we're just going to freaking be that. We're just going to be greasy, moving on.
yeah,
Like, what was it all about?
I think that's what it was. It was self-actualization. They like self-actualized. They're like, this is actually who we actually are, the Greasy Stranglers. We're not those people. Who we really are is the Greasy Strangler.
That's what you got out of that? That's what you thought?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's something like weird about the guys that shoot them. These old men, and they're in these like specific costuming. So I was like, I bet this is some sort of like fucking pretentious reference to something.
They look like those fucking like rich British dudes that go on like a safari and like hunt.
Is that what you got? See, I don't know. Maybe that's I don't. Maybe I have a cultural blind spot there.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh yes, we're watching.
But that's what I assumed it was.
But they never. There was no consistency with like the universe that they were in.
Well, like, if you think about what they do in the movie, there is this kind of escalation of animalistic, like kind of just going with impulses. As the movie progresses, they both become more impulsive. They both become more, not like feral, but just amoral. And I think like when they become the Greasy Strangler, that's kind of the ultimate ideal of that. You're at your most like selfish and narcissistic and animalistic, and you're just kind of reduced down to like this basic set of values or ethics or whatever you want to call it. Like part of it's just survival and then to feed your ego. And I feel like that's, I mean, at the end, they're literally running around a forest with fucking spears.
Yeah.
So I think that's just what I think that.
Would you call that breaking the fourth wall at the very end?
Yeah, a little bit.
Stab
sure.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
That too. So like,
which is just another like, okay, whatever, guys.
But yeah. So here's the thing, like if they're going for like like shock value and stuff like that, like it didn't happen. Oh, like it lasted 4 seconds, like initially, right? You go see him in his dog, and then it goes on throughout like the rest of the movie, like him just
Well,
flashing.
that's the
Like,
thing. It normalizes it. It brings you into their fucking world because then you stop thinking it's shocking. You start thinking it's weird. By the end of the movie, you're just like, yeah, this seems like this is something that might happen. So maybe you've been brainwashed.
so
Now
the shock value is to
you're a pervert now. They have actually
the
converted you
shock
to a
value is
pervert.
your own realization that something that should have been shocking was normalized to you, and I was the one that did that. That
And
was my
that's
objective. That was my requirement. I made it. This is the greatest movie ever made. Whatever. This was a piece of shit.
oh my god.
This was a piece of shit,
See,
dude. Like, I
I
finished
can't call it
watching
a
it.
piece of shit. I cannot call it a complete because it's
Why?
not a
Like, what's
it's
stopping you from calling it a piece of
because
shit?
it's not a failure relative to what it's trying to do. It actually does the thing that it's trying to do. And I think there is a deeper through line that like you could appreciate on some level. I think it's fucking pretentious. I think it's fucking stupid. And it seems like all the people that were involved in making this movie have severe daddy issues. Okay. They got some fucking familial problems. Like, I mean, I know. So don't we all. Whatever. Fuck you. But like it's like when I'm watching this, I literally am thinking to myself, I'm like, this is probably made by pedophiles. like this is made by perverts.
You know, that's Vanessa's. That is a direct quote from Vanessa.
I
When I made her
wish
watch the
Vanessa had
trailer.
watched this. I wish if Vanessa had watched this, I would call her. I'd be like, Vanessa, we got to do me and you, a one-on-one interview. And we're just only going to talk about the Greasy Strangler.
I showed her the trailer. I'm like, "Do you want to watch this with me?" You know, they like,
Fuck yeah.
no. She's like, "What?" This is like those Asian films he would make us watch when we were in Alaska.
oh my
This is what
God.
it's like. This is him. This is Shaun being like, "Oh, let me make you cringe, or let me find something to make you cringe, so we can talk about it." Like, no, I am not watching that.
Well, I made her watch. Well, I didn't make her. I don't want to hold a gun to anybody. I didn't have one. That's why. But
David Koresh made everyone at Waco listen to
no,
his.
there was a movie. There, I know what she's talking about because there's a movie, and I was just like, I put it on just to see what they would do. It was when I first moved in with you guys. It's a Takashi Miike movie. The guy who made Ichi the Killer. It's called Visitor Q. Visitor Q ends with a guy standing behind a woman milking her onto the kitchen floor while her husband and children drink the milk. Lick it off the floor. That's how that movie ends. That's all you need to know.
Film, just like very end of the Greasy Strangler. You know?
And just think, Paul, like you could have watched Scoob and wasted your fucking time. There's nothing to talk about with Scoob. Greasy Strangler, we've been talking for an hour.
Well, you know what's funny about that, right? So like with the, I'll give this a Greasy Strangler because it is a great thing. You know, it's got us talking. We're having a lively debate about it. If you ever called me up and be like, "Hey, let's talk about the Last Jedi," that'd be a pretty fucking quick conversation.
Actually, I've got like an old high school friend. We'll see how it goes. Is gonna come talk to me about all the new Star Wars movies. You know who he is.
Oh, no shit. No shit.
He is invested in Star Wars. That's why I want to talk to him about it because I'm like middling Star Wars fan. He's like the kind of guy that would get like a Star Wars tattoo.
Whatever. He's a poor man's Kevin Smith. Poor man's this always will be. You should record that and play it to him, and you can tell him. You can tell him, like, I remember your big idea. Late cigarettes. You're a fucking bum. A real talk. Inevitable zombie apocalypse. What's this shit? And I'll always love you for that. Right. And that bit.
I was literally. I'm gonna cut that out and send it to you. Yeah, I mean, no, because I think you're right. I mean, that's kind of part of the fun of watching this on its own. If you're just some kind of weirdo that's watching this because you want to watch it,
right?
You're gross. You're a pervert. But if you're watching it because you have a podcast and a YouTube channel, then you're basically akin to doctors and nurses during COVID-19. You're heroes. We're putting out content. Everybody's stuck at home. I mean, oh my God.
regardless of the podcast or not, but that's what that's for. Is like watch this so we can talk. How many times have we said you got to see this so we can talk about it? Right?
Oh, all the time,
This
all the
is
time.
this is one of those cases. So like in that sense, like I'll never say don't watch the movie, but watch it with an agenda. Watch it like with
Yeah,
somebody or tell somebody to watch it and be like, oh,
yeah,
that's great, and pop it up, right?
yeah. Because you gotta you have to talk about. If you keep this inside, then you are going to become a pervert. You're gonna become a fucking incel. Uh, no, and that's why, I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you watching the movie, because you have the same kind of perspective I have. If there's a conversation to be had about it, if we can talk about it, then it was worth our time. Because we got something fruitful out of it. We got to have like a personal experience that we're having now because we watched the Greasy Strangler. I mean, Paul and I have had plenty of personal experiences, but
They never saw it coming.
but it's so I think like almost anything is worth watching. Almost anything. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen a movie that I'm like actually like upset that I saw. Actually upset that I watched.
I feel like there is.
There's got to be something. I know a Serbian film comes very close, and if you've never seen a Serbian film, don't watch it unless you want to talk to me about it. Then we'll watch it. I own it.
What you do?
I know. I know. I watched it. I knew what it was when I bought it too, which is the fucking worst part. But I don't think I've ever watched it either. I just sits on my shelf. I like to do this thing I call it's like because when you collect things like a fucking psycho, you're just like, oh, this is for posterity. I say these kind of things to my wife, and she like looks at me like I'm a psycho. She's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, it's for posterity. It's fucking so it's there. If I ever need it, it's there. I can pull it off the shelf. You know what I bought today, Paul? You know what came in the mail today?
What's that?
The Devil's Advocate. Now, why the fuck would I buy the Devil's Advocate? I got a soft spot for it because of being a child, and I haven't seen it in a few years. But why the fuck would I need to own a Devil's Advocate? Posterity. Paul, I checked Amazon. I watched the Greasy Strangler. I was like,
people may also like the
no,
Devil's
no,
Advocate.
no. I was just like, should I buy the Greasy Strangler? Question mark. Because I was just, I don't know. Just like, that reaction that your wife had all these years later. I've created a memory that's going to be with her the rest of her life. I showed her visitor queue. She pretended like it didn't bother her at the time. Yeah. She's that kind of person.
You can't watch those things, right? It's
But now she still talks about it. She's still like, fuck no. Who told you to watch this, Shaun? Nah. I'm out.
Pretty much.
And that's like, I got a sickness, boy. I got a sickness.
So at the end of the day, is that it? Terrible movie, but
this was definitely
watch it and share it with people.
I thought of this movie because I thought we would have a good conversation. And like I've never talked to anybody about the Greasy Strangler. I tried to get Dan to watch it. He wouldn't do it. He he won't watch most things. You could ask him to watch like a good movie and he'd be like, well, if I got the time. What are you doing, you fucking jerk off? But anyways, you won't get this far. And if he does, I love you. But yeah, so I mean, and that's like, and I think you share that same spirit like we just talked about. It's watching stuff like this is fun just to talk about it. And normally we wouldn't be recording it. We would just be on the phone. Yeah. And we'd be saying the same things, making the same jokes and kind of doing the same analysis. We might have talked about it for maybe a half hour shorter. The recording incentivizes you.
We would totally get into Boogaloo stuff and other, current events,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Try to keep it relatively PG, for the kiddos. But
of course. I mean, do you want this is for your son. This is for posterity. This is your legacy.
This is the legacy. Yeah. Yeah, that Roblox, man. Gotta pry them off, man. Sorry for being late.
You know what? Actually, you know what you should do?
What's that?
You should start playing Roblox.
I made an account,
There you go.
and he whooped my ass.
For now, Paul. For
They
now.
have all these worlds, and like he's got like admin rights. I'm still trying to figure it out, Sean.
I know, dude. Trust me, I know that shit. It's so confusing. Like even just a few years removed, like with my brother, Ryan, they'll like try to tell me to do things. I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't want to do this. Hey
It's
man, can we use Zoom? Nah. No.
Stick to good
Change
old
it.
Skype. It works.
It works, fucker. I don't have
It
to fucking punch
works.
weird shit in. I can just pull up your email, you get an account, and then I can call you.
The only thing is all the spam bots that send you messages every day.
Oh, do you get really? I've never gotten messages from
Every
Skype.
time I log in, I just have to block one. I don't know.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's like like remember like when MySpace started tailing out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Became nothing but bots. So,
Oh man, I had a sick MySpace page, dude. Fucking when you would go to my page, a Brian Jonestown Massacre would start playing. Fucking.
yeah, buddy.
I had a picture of David Bowie and a picture of Orson Welles on there. Woo!
You did. You did.
Oh yeah.
Always one for Orson, man. Any last notes on the Strangler?
Well, I think in closing, I would say that I would give it, like, say, if I were to give this a score, and I'm not like a person that really cares about scores. Like, if I want to watch a movie, I watch a movie. So just keep that in your head. I would say I'd give it like a 5.5 out of 10. I don't think it's a complete waste of time. I do think there are some funny things. I like Michael St. Michael's performance. Paul does not. Everybody gets to be wrong a couple times, and I can't help myself. I'm sorry. Uh, and so I don't think it's a complete waste of time, but I agree with Paul. His sentiment before is just like go in with an agenda, go in knowing this is something to discuss and talk about, because you will be turned into probably some sort of alt-right, red-pilled 4chan troll, and that'll be your lot. What about you, Paul? Do you have any closing thoughts on the Greasy Strangler? You're the guest. I'll let you close it out.
Well, thank you, Sean. Thank you. Thank you. It's a piece of shit, but have an agenda watching it. I know I sound like a broken record, but it will stir a reaction. No matter who watches it, there will be a reaction. And it's like Two Girls, One Cup. Same thing. Same type of thing, right? But only getting them to commit to 90 minutes of Two
Okay.
Girls, One Cup, right?
All right. I don't want to. I gotta tell the story before we go. I know I said I'd give you the last word. You can still have the last word. But actually, speaking of Two Girls, One Cup,
Here we go.
do you know what I'm going to talk about?
Maybe.
So we were in Paul's friend's dorm room. We were in Chris's dorm room. Paul had never seen the video. I had just moved to Alaska. We're all hanging out and getting to know Paul's friends and stuff like that. And if you don't know about me moving to Alaska, I'm sure I'll talk about it someday. So I'm getting to know all Paul's friends and stuff, but Paul had never seen this. It was kind of a viral video before viral videos, because you couldn't just like share it everywhere. That's not how social media worked at the time. That's how old we are. And his friend Chris brought it up, and and we decided we are going to watch it. And Paul, within seconds, starts gagging and grabbing and like gonna throw up. I think you might have threw up a little bit one time.
I did.
But the rule was that every time he did that, we had to start from the beginning. And it's like a 3-minute video, maybe something like that. It's not super long, but we had to start from the beginning. We had to do that probably about 10 times. So it probably took about like 90 minutes to get through the video. And there you go. That's the story. That was but he did it. He's a champ. He's like, it's just like with the Greasy Strangler, like he got through it. He did it.
The things we do for love, Sean.
I know.
Cheers.
Cheers, my friend. Thank you for listening, everybody. This has been an episode of Zoobox Goes to the Movies. If you'd like to know more about the Zoobox experience, you can check us out on Facebook look up Zoobox Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Zoobox Podcast. You can email us at zooboxpodcast@gmail.com. You want to drop me a line, tell me how much you fucking hate me. I will read it on air. I will read it in an episode. Please do. We take fan mail or anti-fan mail. It doesn't matter to me. I just like attention. Paul knows this. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. And we will see you next week when we talk about something else. And I'll see you tomorrow because I upload videos every day as I take Zoobox over and I make it my own. And now it's just my face everywhere in an attempt to get the rest of Zoobox to do something. Good night.